Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am C. Hope you're doing well. We're going to wrap up our off-season homework today with the outfielders that have the best long-term prospects for the Hall of Fame. I think if you want to put good money towards cards, you should put a little bit of time into the research. And I'm just sharing my notes with you. So these are the players that I would target in descending, ascending order, whatever it is. So not a lot of left fielders, too many right fielders. Decided just to combine them all into outfielders. And we'll just take a look at there. So it's a little bit longer than usual, but hopefully this is a good wrap up to the series here. So 74 outfielders in the Hall of Fame, 23 in left, 24 in center, 27 in right. The highest Fangraphs wars, Babe Ruth in that inaugural 36 class. Most hits, Ty Cobb, 4189. Most home runs, Hank Aaron, 755. That's the real home run record. 30,000 hit club. Got a number of guys in there. Yastrzemski, Henderson, Brock, Cobb, Speaker, Mays, Aaron Musial, Wayner, Tony Gwynn, Dave Winfield, Al Kaline, and Roberto Clemente hitting that number right on the nose. 500 home run club. Williams, Mays, Griffey Jr., Mantle, Aaron Ruth, Robinson, Jackson, Ott. So the outfielders, this is where we see some of the big sticks here. So let's not forget about some of these players before we move on here. Kenny Lofton, 62 wins above replacement. I was kind of shocked to see he only had 4 gold gloves to his name. 6 All-Star games. 2,400 hits. I think if he was going to be a Hall of Famer, especially if you're more defensive oriented, then you need to get into or close to double digits in gold gloves there. So he's got the commensurate WAR, a lot of that from defense, but the hardware was not there for him. Andrew Jones did have the hardware, but he had a little bit shorter career, couldn't crack 2,000 hits, but he had 434 home runs. 10 gold gloves and 5 all-star games, and so we'll see how the voters treat him. He's been steadily creeping up in the rankings here. He's gotten around 40% of the vote. This new vote that comes out really today, I think tonight. He'll have, if he can start cracking 50, then I think people take him very seriously. Carlos Beltran has all the bona fides of a Hall of Famer, but he kind of cheated, and so I think they'll make him wait just a little bit here. Jim Edmonds, another player, 64.5 wins above replacement, couldn't crack 2,000 hits, so he's kind of in that Lofton category, but he's got a little bit more hardware, so see how history treats him. Both those guys were off the ballot fairly quickly. Same with Dwight Evans, 65 wins above replacement, 2,400 hits, number of gold gloves, couple All-Star games. So these are kind of your Hall of very good players. And we'll wrap it up with Ichiro, who will be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he is eligible. But have him on your radar because we know what happens to those prices as they get back into the news cycle. All right. On deck, number of rookies that you won't see in here. They don't have their own page as of yet, but because of their age, they're up. Now we just need to see them produce, which is the hard part here. But if they can start to do that, half the battle is they've won half the battle by being up early. So we'll see if they can produce in the next couple of years. So put them on their radar. Corbin Carroll, 21 years old, and he's got 1.5 WAR to his name here. If he can start putting it together, he only needs to average roughly over 4 wins per year to get to that 60 by 35, which is what we're kind of looking for out of outfielders. Although recently that number's been a bit higher, so we'll see how that plays out. But historically, you get 60, 62 wins or something like that by age 35 before things start to peter out. Then you are looking at least the WAR component of Hall of Fame satisfied. So then you have to look at hits, home runs, things of that nature. What did they do generational? So Riley Green, Dylan Carlson, Jared Kelenic, Jack Swinski, Stephen Kwan. All players to be put on the radar, see if they can produce over the next few years here. All right. Outfield WAR by age. You can see that by age 25, 26, they start to peak out at roughly 5.5 to 6 wins above replacement. So there's a high bar for the outfielders, and then they have a pretty steady decline. So between ages 23 and age 32, should be about a 4.5 win type player, and then you'll start to see that descent. Not a lot of them play past 40, unless these days, when you start to see contracts are signing guys to age 40 or 41, and some of them will be playing there. So, all right, since 1980, all right, let's compare them to some contemporaries. Back in the day, you'd have guys with 35, 40 WAR getting into the Hall of Fame. Recently, that bar has been a little bit more firmly established, and so since 1980, we've got 19 players into the Hall of Fame. The average Baseball Reference WAR is 75, so you can see that getting to 60, not quite enough. You're gonna have to do some other things in a fairly special fashion here. Average batting average is 300. Average number of hits 2,700. Average home runs just over 400. Silver Sluggish 2.5. Gold Gloves 3.2, and average All-Star games just over 11. Average MVPs about 0.63. So not everybody has to have an MVP, but you better do something pretty darn good. You want to get into the Hall. So a couple players that they're too good for the on deck watch list, and they're not quite onto their own page just yet. Are your rookies of the year? J-Rod, 21 with 5.3 wins above replacement. Can he be a 4-win player until 35? Yeah, this is a pretty serious path this guy's on. He's shown the skills, excellent defense, very good bat. He should be able to continue to improve as he hit the ground running. And Michael Harris Jr., similarly, age 21, 4.8 wins above replacement. So his path is similar. Now, the thing we have to watch out for Harris is his splits were absolutely terrible. And if he can't hit left-handed pitching, he'd find himself quickly into platoon, which would destroy his long-term chances. Maybe we'll do a video on that. All right, let's start it off with some of the high-level targets here. So Kyle Tucker, age 25, he's got 11 and 12 WAR respectively between the two sites here. 60 by 35, and he's average just under 5, and so he can do that. But he's going to have some years pretty quickly here, considering his age, where he's putting up maybe roughly 7 wins or something like that. At least we need to see him start to peak out at 6-7 wins for a few years and bring that number down so he can handle the descent. What you don't want to do is put up 4 or 5 wins on an annual basis, and then when you get to that age, 32, 33, you need to continue to put 4 or 5 wins. That's kind of a tall order. So if you can start putting up 6-7 win seasons here, a couple of those, that would be very helpful to his trajectory, which is below the line because of a late start in mostly Dusty Baker. But he's tracking pretty well here, so a couple good seasons gets him back on track here. So we'll see how that plays out. He's got the skills to do it. Lou Bob, same thing. Age 24, came up early, but then you had a shortened MLB season, and then he had some injuries as well, so it kind of fall off the path. When he plays really, really well. He's got an excellent bat. He's a career 290 hitter. He can hit some home runs, plays a good defense, a really good defense. And so, again, same situation here, where you came up a little bit late, other things that were out of your control, but if you're going to be in Hall of Fame, then you should be able to put up some 6-7 win seasons. If he's able to start doing that, he can close that gap. And so, again, 6-7 wins respectively. So we're really just kind of looking for his talent here. He's got the skills for it, and see if he can start to put it together here. Cody Bellinger has an MVP under his belt here, came off like a shot, hit a Rookie of the Year, had an MVP, and looked like a no-brainer, but the last few years it's really flatlined here. So he's got 17 wins above replacement. He needs to average 4.74. So we'll see if the Cubs can give him a little change of scenery and if he can get back on this track. But as of now, he was ahead of the pace, and now he's below the pace. And so we'll see if he can put everything together and get back on track here. So could be a decent, out of sight, out of mind. His prices could be there, but be aware that again, now he's flattened and he's below the line, and he's got an uphill battle now. So his prices a few years ago made sense. Now, not so much. Christian Yelich, kind of the same thing here. A couple batting titles. He's got an MVP, a couple of top 5 MVP finishes. A couple of years really helped him stay on this nice trajectory here, but the last few years, not so much. Again, off the path, and so his prices have taken a hit, and there is a reason for it. He's no longer above the line. He's no longer tracking. He needs to get back on track. Let's see if he can do it. He's done it in the past. Can he recapture that magic here? But for now, we've seen this in the past with other players here. They'll start off like a shot, then they flatline. If you look at players like Evan Longoria and everything like that, nothing could go wrong for him. Now, really, really behind the 8 ball. All right, a player that got off to a late start and has really made up for some lost time here. Recently, the defending MVP, his most recent season, he basically combined 2 into 1 and put himself right back into the talk here in the MVP. If he's even close, that's kind of your tiebreaker here. So 37 wins above replacement, needs to average just under 5, and when he's on the field, he does that. And so he's got a long time to with his new deal, he's got a long time to kind of figure that out here, so he could compile here. But what we're looking at from him, he's got an excellent batting average. That combination of power and batting average is rare, so he really is a terrific player overall. It's really just about health here. So we'll see what happens with the 220 home runs. He's going to have to put up about 280, and he's got 10 years to do it. And so if he continues to be a 40-50 home run guy for the next few years at least, he could start to threaten 500, which would be an automatic punch of the ticket. Yordan Alvarez tracking very, very well. Shortened season, some injuries, and you know what? Doesn't matter for Yordan. He's still putting up the numbers here. If he continues to be above average, putting up these 5-6 win seasons, he's going to be right on the line there. That's great. So long-term health, Well, we'll see, but we can only take it year by year here. 25 years old, 13 wins above replacement, 4.5 wins. To get to that 60 by 35, he's got, he can hit. There's no question about his talent there. 300 average, almost 100 home runs. And so young enough to really make some hay here. So this is kind of the Aaron Judge type path here. Come up late and then just demolish the pace with the bat here. So if he has a Judge type season, which was top 3 all time for the most part, then he's going to be above the line. But for now, again, continue being 5-6 win player for a few years before your descent in being a DH could help that overall. He's tracking and actually ahead of the pace just a little bit. He just came up too late. So one of my favorite targets, Shohei Ohtani. I don't know what to do with this guy. Is he a hitter? Is he a pitcher? I just put him in the outfield. I don't even know where to put. I don't know how to calculate his trajectory. I don't know where to put him in these videos. So let's just throw him in with the outfielders for the most part because I don't have a DH video coming out here. So his combined pitching and hitting wins above replacement. If you just look at him as a pitcher, if you just look at him as a hitter, it's good, but coming up too late. There's just all sorts of things against him. But if you combine the two, then you wind up with a pretty interesting player here. 22 wins between the two services here, Fangraphs and Baseball Reference. If you combine the hitting and the pitching, needs 4.5 to get to that 60 by 35. Well, if he's doing the hitting and pitching thing effectively for the next couple of years, I mean, he's really an 8 or 9 win type player. So he could really demolish that. So we'll see how they're going to look at him. But again, on their own, hitting and pitching, no. Together, my gosh, this is that's an interesting deal here. Fernando Tatis, we looked at him in the shortstops. Now he's an outfielder, so we'll look at him in the outfielders and just compare him and see how he stacks up. And you know what? Still generational. So he's got some question marks. We're well aware of those, and so we'll see. It happened young enough, and time can heal all wounds on that one. So we'll see how that plays out here. But he's got 13 wins above replacement. He's to average just under 4 to get that 60 wins by age 35. Excellent hitter. He can hit for power. A couple of top 5 MVPs, All-Star game, couple of Silver Sluggers, and he's only 23. Most guys are just getting started and getting a feel for the game, and he's put up hardware and he's put up wins above replacement, and this is a generational path. Again, we're aware of the question marks and all that kind of good stuff. He's going to come up. When he comes back next year, if he's healthy, he's going to hit, he's going to rake, and maybe a pretty darn interesting target because of these other things that are factored in. It's what we call a value play. All right, Ronald Acuna Jr., age 24, 18 wins above replacement. Monster first half last year. He's been out for most of the part. He came back this year. He had some flashes as he gets his feet back. If he can figure out his timing, get his strength back underneath him, and get back to what he's been doing, then he came up early and he produced. And he's above the line here. So it needs to average just under 4 to get to that 60 by 35, which is a lowish bar if he can stay healthy here. He's got a top 5 MVP, 3 All-Star games, a couple of Silver Sluggers, and a Rookie of the Year. And he's just 24 years old here. So again, out of sight, out of mind may be a nice target here. All right, some high-level targets. Everything's just going right for these guys. We don't have questions about health or anything like that. Well, I may have spoken too soon here. Juan Soto, age 23, 22 wins above replacement. He needs to average roughly 3 wins per season to get that 60 by 35. If he shows up, he's getting 3 wins per season, all right? So for him, it's just health. And if he's able to stay healthy and he's able to stay on the field, generational type talent, all right? Top 5 MVP, couple of those, couple All-Star games, 3 Silver Sluggers, and a batting title. So again, you're going to pay for it, but that is a generational type trajectory. All right, so again, health, right? He's undergoing some surgery here. He should be able to come back and at least hit for part of the season next year. That's really where most of his value lies. Bryce Harper, age 29, 44 wins above replacement, 2.63. He needed on an annual basis to get to that 60 by 35, even if he takes off half a season or a full season. His trajectory is still pretty well defined here. He's above the line of the average Hall of Fame, 1,300 hits, 285 home runs, 280 average. And so we want to see him play for another decade. We want to see him get 2,400 hits. We want to see him get 400 or 500 home runs. And he's on the pace to do all of those. 2 MVPs. You don't even have to be that darn close. 7 All-Star games, 2 Silver Sluggers, Rookie of the Year. He does all those things, gets to the 2,400 hits, gets to 400 or 500 home runs with the multiple MVPs. You're talking about a generational type player here. While he is injured, he'll be out of sight, out of mind, and maybe worth a closer look if you don't have a lot of Bryce Harper cards. Mookie Betts in a similar situation to Bryce Harper until this year, where Mookie really took off and Bryce Harper He got hurt and had a little bit of an off year. Well, not really that off of a year. Mookie's had a really good year is what it came down to. 29 years old, 50 wins above replacement. Baseball Reference likes him a little bit better at 56 wins, 1.63 by age 35. He can come in and play like a month out of every next season and hit that number here. 1,300 hits, 213 home runs, 293 average. Same thing with some of these other guys here. Start putting up some of those counting stats, Mookie. Just hang around for another decade. Get to over 2,000 hits. Get to 300-400 home runs or something like that, and continue playing excellent defense, and you are in, my friend. All right, MVP, 3 top 5 finishes, 6 All-Star games, 5 Silver Sluggers, 6 Gold Gloves, and a batting title. Really terrific trajectory here. Doesn't seem to be anything slowing him down. So again, another high-level target, and the highest level target of them all is Mike Trout, age 30, 82 wins above replacement, 60 by 35. Give me a break. He's already there, my friends. 1,500 hits, 350 home runs, 303 lifetime average. This is your, as our friend, because of Carlos would say, this is the most perfect player we've got right now. All right. 3 MVPs, 9 top 5 finishes. Every year he's either MVP or he's second. This was the first year he finished outside of those two with the top 8 finish. 10 All-Star games, 9 Silver Sluggers, and a Rookie of the Year. Came out, never looked back. He's blowing away the competition. If things ended right now, even with 1,500 hits, he probably gets in. Can we get him? Can we keep him healthy for a few more years and crack 2,000 hits? He's in, but let's keep him on that generational type path. So, all right, that's what I got for you. That wraps up this season. I might do a tier list and just kind of summarize all these things and give you the short and dirty version. But I appreciate everybody watching this. It's been fun to put together. I do this on an annual basis. I try to make it look pretty for you here. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like this, please consider liking, subscribing, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.